So, okay, let us start now. In the last class, I have discussed about the approaches to the dividend policy, and there are mainly two approaches. One is saying that whether we pay dividend or we do not pay dividend, whether we pay dividend or we don't, that is going to affect the valuation of the share or value of the firm. The other says that no, whether we pay dividend or we do not pay dividend, the value of the firm, that is not going to be affected. And based on that, we have divided the two theories. One is the theory related with relevance, and another is the theory of irrelevance. In the category of relevance, I have started to discuss with you the first model, that is Walter model, and the next model is the Gordon model. So these two models generally we discuss as a part of dividend policy, and where the dividend decision or the dividend declaration, that is going to affect the value of the firm. So here, and I have come up to this particular stage, that he has identified three type of firms, and it is based on the type of firm is based on the rate of return and the cost of capital. So for cost of capital, generally you know that we are using K for cost. So it is the cost of equity or cost of capital. So somewhere you will find only K written. So it is the rate of return. What is this rate of return? This is the internal rate of return. Now you may be, I think you are familiar with this internal rate of return, and see, this is the rate which the company is expecting to generate with the help of its business operations. So it is the internal rate which the company is proposing or it is expecting. So that is the part, so rate of return. If the rate of return is more than the cost of capital, so the cost of capital concept you know, because there are different type of capital as a part of capital structure that you have already studied. So it may be, but here, as we are knowing, that we are mainly concerned with the equity shareholder, so we are considering the cost of equity. So it is not the weighted average cost of capital that is going to matter. Why? Because we are basically interested in increasing the wealth of the shareholder. So that will be that will have to be treated on the basis of the cost of equity. So first thing is the rate of return and the cost of capital relationship. If the rate of return given by the company or expected by the company is more than its cost of capital, then in that case it will be considered as a growth firm. So this is the growth firm. Why? Because the rate is more. So they have given this name growth firm, and it is also okay. The naming is all right, no problem. There is another situation that may be that the rate of return is less than the cost of capital. So in this case, this is the declining firm, where the rate of return is less than the cost of capital. So they are calling that okay, it is a declining firm, where the return whatever you are giving, that is less than the cost which is related with the cost of equity. So this is the declining firm. and the rate of return is equal to the cost of capital. So the other situation may be like this, where both the things they are same. Then in that case, they say that this is a normal firm. So this is a normal firm. What is that? R is equal to K, it is a normal firm. R is less than the K, that is a declining firm. R is more than K, that is a growth firm. So based on that, this classification you will find. Now see what he wanted to prove, that should be clear. He says that whether you pay dividend or you do not pay dividend, that is going to affect the valuation of the firm. For the purpose of understanding valuation of the firm, what we do? The firm value that will be determined on the basis of the value of the equity share. The value of the firm we are going to determine on the basis of the value of equity share. So what we are going to do, we have to calculate the price of the share under different conditions. Try to understand this point. We have to calculate the price of the share under different conditions. What are those conditions? The condition is that when you are going to pay dividend, what is its effect on the price? Number one. When you are going to pay more dividend, what is its effect on price? When you are going to pay less dividend, what will be its position on the price? So under these three firm categories, the growth firm, the declining firm, and the normal firm, when we are going to pay more dividend, what is the position of the price? When we are going to pay less dividend, what will be the position of the price? When we are going to pay no dividend, what will be the position of price? When we are going to pay 100% dividend, the extreme case, then what will be the position of price? So we will have to understand that if the price changes under these different conditions, under a particular firm category of growth, decline, and normality, if the prices are going to change on the basis of dividend payment, then we will say that the dividend is affecting the valuation of the firm. Now see what they have said, what he has said about it. I am coming to that, and I have discussed it yesterday also, but just for the purpose of starting it, I am coming to it. These are the assumptions which have been made. Now see, these assumptions are very important because the criticism that will be coming on the basis of the assumption, we will be doing it later on. The assumption is that the investment of the firm are financed through retained earning only, and the firm is not going to issue either debenture or equity. So external sources of finance the firm is not going to take. The internal rate of return or the rate of return, because we are using this rate of return, and the cost of capital of the firm are constant. Here we are considering that, okay, during the period it is going to remain same, it is not going to change. It is not that in the month of January it is something, in the month of February it is something, they have assumed. So these assumptions, as we know in case of economics, we are going to keep so many things, so many factors as the same. We know that the changes they take place, but for the purpose of proving some theories, we have considered that, okay, other things remain the same, or other things they will be retained as constant. So here he has assumed that the rate of return and the cost of capital, that is going to be constant. Earning and dividend do not change while determining the value. See here, this third one, earning and dividend do not change. So the total earning and total dividend, we are going to consider that they are not going to change. But we will be changing. But we will have, because we have to prove that the dividend is going to affect the value of the share. So we will be changing the dividend payment. We will be changing the dividend payment for the purpose of calculation. But here we have considered that as an assumption that they are not going to change, it will remain same. And the firm has a longer life, we know that, okay, perpetuity concept of accounting, that is going to work here also. So these assumptions are there. Four assumptions, main assumptions he has made, and based on that, this was the formula which we have considered. This P is the price of the share, so market price per share, that is the P. Somewhere you will find it is written as P0. They will be writing P0. P0 means what? Price of the share in the beginning of the period. So, because what we are doing, dividend will be declared at the end of the year. Okay. So, there is a gap. And I want to know the price now. So, it will be P0. Because here we are using only one P, so it is written P. Only when we are using more P's, so the price at the end of the period price now. then in that case we use P0, P1, but here it is P0, that means the market price per share. So this is the dividend which we are going to receive at the end of the period. What will be its present value? We are going to discount by a particular rate. What is that rate? It is the cost of equity. So this is the discounting part which we are finding here. And this discounting we are going to make with the help of the cost of equity. Okay. And here it is only for 1 year, so you will not be finding 1 plus KE. It is a 1 year, so it is the same KE. Then it is your rate of return, okay, on which you are going to get the rate of return. You will be getting rate of return on the money which you have retained in your business. Try to understand this point so that this formula will become very simple for you to understand. This is the rate of return. What will be the rate of return? The rate of return you will be calculating on what? You will be calculating this rate of return on the money whatever you have retained in your business. The money whatever you have retained, because the dividend you have paid. The dividend you have paid. So what is the money? So out of earning, whatever is remaining after that. So earning per share, EPS, minus dividend per share, DPS. So earning per share, it has been denoted like E. So here it is earning per share, and this is D, this is the dividend per share. So per share value, because we are calculating the value of one equity, so it is the per share value. So earning per share minus dividend per share, this is your retained earning. This is your retained earning, okay. So you are going to have this retained earning that will have to be divided by the cost of equity, and whole will be divided by, to calculate its present value, that will be divided by KE. So this is a basic formula. It can be written in different manner also, there is no problem. So you can write simply D plus R within bracket E minus D divided by K, now whole divided by KE, that will also work. Just 1 minute, some are waiting, I think. Okay. Okay. So this P is the market price per share, dividend is the dividend price per share, R is your internal rate of return, E is your earning per share, cost of equity. So the key is a very simple formula which we are having here in this case. And we have to keep in mind we are having three type of firms. So I will be showing you some calculations, not all, because you will have to calculate at your own. You can consult the book, you will find it there. You can write it like this also, just I have told you. D plus R E minus D divided by K whole divided by K. You can write like this also, because here this is going to make it more simple. This is the dividend plus R E minus D divided by K whole is divided by KE. So the simplification of the formula for the purpose of writing. Otherwise you can go by this formula, there is no problem. It is the same. So it is just the way of writing which I have tried to do that. So now see here. 40% equal. But just one come to this. First of all, okay, I am rate of return is 15%. Cost of equity 10%. All right. What is the type of firm? It is a growth firm, it is a declining firm, or it is a normal firm? Anyone? Any one of you can answer. It is a growth firm. It is a growth firm. R is 15%, cost of equity is 10%. Here, for the purpose of calculation, we are paying 40% dividend. So the DP ratio, you know about it, this is the dividend payout ratio. So dividend you are paying 40%. The 40% of this equity. So here, okay, I think I have missed that. Just 1 minute. Basic data is, see here, the basic data. Earning per share, that is E, that is rupees 10. Cost of equity, 10%. R, that is your rate of return. One is 15%, another one is 10%, another one is 8%. So cost of equity is 10%, R is 15%. So it is a growth fund. Cost of equity 10%, R is 10%. So it is a normal fund. Cost of equity 10% and rate of return, that is 8%. So it is a declining fund. Okay. Now see here, I have tried to calculate for different percentages, and this is for the growth fund. 15% rate of return, cost of equity 10%, 40% is your DP ratio. All right. So 40% of rupees 10. Try to see here. Yes. 40% of rupees 10. So how much it will be? It will be 4 rupees. So this is your dividend, that is 4 rupees. R 0.15, that is your 15%. E minus D. E is 10 rupees minus 4 rupees divided by the cost of equity KE, that is 0.10, 10%. Whole divided by 0.10, that is 10% cost of equity. When we are going to calculate this, the final result at 40% DP ratio, the price of the share P, that comes to 130 rupees. Is it clear or not? Is it clear or not? Please tell me. Anyone who could not understand? Otherwise I am going to proceed further. Okay, I am repeating it one more time more, so that basic data we are finding here. Earning per share, that is E, it is coming to rupees 10. Cost of equity, here we have considered 10%, and the rate of return of the company, which the company will be giving, that may be 15%, that may be 10%, that may be 8%. If it is 10% cost of equity, rate of return is 15%, it is a growth fund. If the cost of equity is 10% and rate of return is also 10%, it is a normal fund. If the cost of equity is 10% and rate of return is 8%, so the cost is more, return is less, it is a declining fund. So these are the three terms which have been given. Here the calculations what we are having, it is for rate of return 15%. So see here, DP ratio which we have calculated at 40%, the value comes to rupees 130, which we have already calculated. The calculation will go like this. So the value comes to 130 rupees. Okay. I am calculating for the other percentage. DP ratio 80%. It means you have paid dividend 8 rupees. So P0 will be, this is your dividend, D, 15% rate of return, multiplied by earning minus dividend. Earning is 10 rupees, dividend is 8 rupees, divided by the cost of equity, that is 0.10, 10%, whole divided by the cost of equity, 0.10. Well, how much is the value coming? It is coming 110 rupees. Alright. So at 40%, when you are paying 40% dividend, what is the value? Value of share is 130 rupees. When you are going to pay 80% dividend, DP ratio is 80%. So what is the value? What is the position of your price? It has reduced. So if you are going to pay more dividend and your firm is a growth firm, the price of the share or value of the firm to the equity shareholder, that will be reduced. So in this case, what will happen? If you are going to pay more dividend, if you are going to pay 100% dividend, then what will happen? The value of the share, that will be minimum. If you are going to pay 10% dividend, value of the share, that will be more. So there was one question yesterday, and now I think it is clear that under this growth firm, if you are going to pay more dividend, the value of the share, that is going to be less. If you are going to pay 100% dividend, then it will be much more less. If you are going to pay no dividend, the value of the share, that will be more. Now try to see here. So here I have taken these figures. DP ratio, no dividend, 0. Value is 150. When you are paying 40% dividend, value is 130 rupees. When you are going to pay 80% of your earning in the form of dividend, value is 110 rupees. When you are going to pay 100% dividend, it has reduced to 100 rupees. So if your firm is, he said that if the firm is a growing firm and the rate of return is more than the cost of capital, the company should retain the total earning with itself. And in that case, no dividend if the company is paying, if it is going to retain 100%, or because there is a relationship. I am using this term interchangeably due to this relationship. DP ratio 0. What does it mean? It means that you are paying no dividend. What will be the retained ratio? The retained earning will be 100%. So when you are going to retain total amount, the value of the share, that is 150 rupees, when you are going to pay 40%, that means you are going to retain 60%. So this 130 rupees will be the value. When you are paying 80%, that means you are retaining only 20%. So the value is 110 rupees. And here in this case, when you are going to pay 100%, that means you are going to retain only 0. You are going to retain nothing. Then the value is going to 100 rupees. With the help of this, he has proved that payment of dividend, that is affecting the value of the share. All these values which have been calculated here, they are in terms of one share. They are in terms of one share. So the value of the firm, because we are using value of the firm, value of the share, value of the firm will depend on the number of shares multiplied by the price of the share, individual share, at a particular rate of dividend payout. So the value of the firm will be simply the multiplication of the total number of shares and the value. So that will become the value of the firm. Why we are stressing this at this stage? Because in the other type of calculations, the value that will have to be determined in terms of the value of the firm itself. So for the purpose of understanding, so this is about the growth firm. This is about the growth firm. I am stressing it, and because after that we will be shifting. So see here. This is a growth firm, 40% DP ratio, rate of return 15%, cost of equity 10%. So the formula which is here, I am reminding you this, you can use it like this. For the purpose of simplicity, okay, I have tried to write like this. You can use it this is very simple. When you are using this pen and pencil, dividend plus rate of return, EPS minus DPS, divided by cost of equity, whole divided by cost of equity. You can write like this also, there is no problem. It is the same. Now, when you are going to calculate, you will be finding the value like this. Okay? Okay, now. See here. This is a normal firm. This is a normal firm. What is that? Here, the basic data is here. What is that? The basic data, earning per share, rupees 10. Cost of equity, 10%. Now I am taking this 10% rate of return, so that it will be showing you the normal firm. Same formula when you are going to use. So DP ratio, when you are going to pay 0 dividend, 100% retention you are going to make. rate of return 10%, rate of the cost of equity 10%. When you are going to pay no dividend, 100 rupees is the value of the share. When you are going to pay 40%, the value of the share that is going to remain 100 rupees. When you are going to pay 80%, it is 100 rupees. When you are going to pay 100%, no retention, it is going to be 100 rupees. So what is the conclusion here? When the rate of return is equal to the cost of capital, whether you are going to pay 100% share to 100% dividend to the shareholder, its value is going to be same as if you are going to pay no dividend to the shareholder, so it will be 100 rupees. The payment or non-payment. In case of rate of return and cost of equity being same at any percentage of dividend payout ratio, the value of the firm that is going to be the same. So what he has proved with the help of this, he says that the value of the firm that is being affected. Okay, here it is not being affected because both the things are same. 10% cost of equity, 10% rate of return. So on the basis of this, he said that okay, there is no problem. So here under this normal condition, normal firm, where these two are same, the value is going to remain same. Okay, no problem. Now see here. Now see here. This is for the declining fund. R is 8%. Cost of equity 10%. R is less. Cost of equity is more. So your company is giving less return to the shareholder as compared to the cost of the fund, whatever the shareholder has given. So in this case, what will happen? The calculation based on the same formula. Dividend payout ratio is 0%. So it is 80 rupees. Alright. When you are going to increase the dividend payout ratio, that means you are going to pay more. You are going to pay more as compared to here. It is you are not going to pay anything. So dividend payout ratio is 0. Here the value is 80 rupees. When the dividend payout ratio is 40%, the value has increased. It has now come up to rupees 88. When you are going to pay 80% of this earning per share, the value of the share that has further increased, 96 rupees. When you are going to pay 100%, you are not going to retain anything. In this case, what is happening? The value of the share that has come up to 100 rupees. So what does it mean? When the rate of return given by the company is less than the cost of equity, as much you are going to pay to the shareholder, the value of the firm, the value of the share, that is going to be more. So with the help of these three different type of firms and with the help of different DP ratio, he has proved that the payment of dividend to the shareholders, that is going to affect the price of the share or the value of the firm. Is it clear or there is something needed? Please tell me, any one of you, so that I should proceed further. Okay then. Now see, naturally we have to consider the different type of assumptions which we have made. So the criticism of the Walters model, they are here. The firms do raise funds by external financing. The reality is that the firms, whenever they need this money for their expansion, growth, for financing their additional projects, for increasing their area of operation or their scale of operation, we know that they are going for external source of finance. But in this model, we have considered that there is no external source of finance. So this is the criticism of this model, that it has been made very simplistic by ignoring the fact that we are going for the issue of additional share or debenture for the purpose of raising fund from outside. The internal rate of return also does not remain constant. Okay, we have assumed that the rate of return that is going to remain constant, the cost of capital that is going to remain constant. So these constant factors we have considered. They say that the internal rate of return also that is also not going to remain constant. So this is another criticism which we are finding. The assumption that cost of capital will remain constant also does not hold good. As a firm risk pattern does not remain constant, it is not proper to assume that K or KE will always remain constant. So this is the constancy part, which has been criticized, that the rate of return considered as constant, the cost of capital that has been considered as constant. So they say that no, these assumptions are very simplistic assumptions. Now see here. Before this, before Gordon. See, the model of Gordon is also very close to the Walter model. And here also he has tried to prove that what will be the position of the share when we are going to pay dividend under different conditions. And he has also taken the three conditions, that is the growth firm, the normal firm, and the declining firm. But there are two things which we have to keep in mind. Whenever we are taking up this dividend payout ratio, okay. So the dividend payout ratio is the amount of dividend or the ratio of dividend which we are paying to the shareholder. So that is the payment, the dividend payout ratio. The reverse of this dividend payout ratio is the retention ratio. The reverse of this dividend payout ratio is the retention ratio. If suppose you are paying 40% dividend, then in that case your retention ratio will become 60%. Because 40% you have paid, so 60% you are going to retain. So this is one which we have to keep in mind. In this formula, which I am going to discuss with you in case of this Gordon model, he has also assumed most of the things, but the assumptions he has added so many more assumptions. I will be coming to that. But the basic thing which we have to understand in the beginning, that part is that the firm is going to see, here in this case, we are going to consider, in place of E minus D, we are going to consider the 1 minus B. And B we are considering that it is the retention ratio. So, and on the basis of this, by now we are having very simple understanding about the equity share and its valuation. See, the equity shareholders, they are expecting growth in their income, they are expecting growth in their payment. So the concept of growth he has brought, and the growth is basically based on the retention and the rate of return. Retention and rate of return. It is almost similar to whatever we have discussed in the Walter model. In case, but here we have introduced the concept of growth, and growth means G is equal to B multiplied by R. R is your rate of return and B is your retention ratio. So how much you have retained multiplied by R, that you have also found in case of earlier formula. R multiplied by E minus D. There we have done E minus D. So here we are going to write 1 minus this earning into 1 minus B, that is the retention ratio. We have to consider that. And based on this, he has given this formula which is written here for the purpose. So now see, he has also developed a model on the lines of Professor Walter. His basic valuation model is based on the following assumption. Now see here. The firm is an all equity firm, so there is no debt component in the firm. So this he has assumed it. So this part is also similar to that, but in this case he has specifically mentioned that it is completely an equity firm. There is no debt component into it. No external financing is available or used. We have already considered that in earlier case also. Retained earnings represent the only source of financing investment programs. So here he has not considered the payout because, as I have already explained, that the relationship between the payout and the retention. So he has basically considered the retention side of the this scheme. So he has considered that no external financing is available or they are not using it. So retained earning represent. So if any project or financing is available, that is going to be financed from the retained earning. So they are not going to issue any debenture. They are not going to issue any equity share. So only on the, because this is a firm, a completely 100% equity based firm. So he has assumed it like this. Now see here. Okay. Other assumption. The rate of return on firm investment is constant. So in that case also, in Walter model, same this. We have always considered that the rate of return on the firm's investment is constant. Okay. So we are not changing that. The retention ratio, which is denoted by D. So it is 1 minus DP ratio. 1 minus DP ratio. So don't be confused, because I know that sometimes you are okay, you are thinking, or your thinking remain only on the DP ratio. So retention ratio, that is not coming into mind. You have to concentrate somewhat on these different notations. The relationship, as we understand, very simple. One is going to be something, then the retention, the DPA is going to be something, the retention will be 1 minus that. So the retention ratio B, once decided upon, is constant. Thus the growth rate of the firm, that is G, he has used this term G, is equal to BR, and then it is also going to be constant. When the rate of return is going to be constant and the retention ratio, that is also going to be constant, so the G, which is the growth rate, he has introduced this term G here. G is nothing, it is the growth rate. So that is B into R. So R is your rate of return and B is your retention, that is going to remain constant. So it is similar akin to the earlier assumption made by Walter. So in case of Gordon also, we are finding the cost of capital of the firm remains constant. So here also he has assumed that the cost of capital, that is going to remain constant. We have assumed in the earlier case also constant, and
it is explain point number 2.
Yes, what happened?
The second point, explain please again.
This one, retention ratio. The which one? This retention ratio.
Retention ratio.
Okay. See here, there are two things which are important. One is your earning per share, that is EPS. On the basis of this earning per share, we are going to pay dividend. Okay. So how much we are going to pay, that is called dividend payout, DP, dividend payout. If suppose you have earned 100 rupees on one share, okay, 40% you are going to pay. So your dividend payout ratio will become how much? That will become 40%. Clear?
Yes,
how much you are going to retain?
For 60%.
60%. So the retention ratio will become 60%.
60%.
So this retention ratio, which he has denoted by the term B, so there is a relationship which I have already explained. So he has assumed on the basis of the retention ratio. In case of Walter, it was based on the dividend payout ratio. So he has introduced this term. Now see, you are using this much money. How much is the company using? Because you have paid dividend payout, so dividend payout you have already paid. So how much is with the company? That is the retention. So in case of this, 40% you have paid, so 60%, that is 60 rupees in case of this 100 rupees earning, 60 rupees is there with you. Alright. So your return will be calculated on the dividend payout or retention?
The retention.
That will be on the retention. So what he says, that the retention is your B, and your return which we are going to consider, that we are considering on the basis of the R, whatever is the rate of return. And he says that it is B into R, that is the part of growth. So he has given a term G, that is the growth part. So somewhere you will find they will be writing in the formula G, or somewhere they will be writing B into R. This is the amount which you have retained, and this is the return on that which you are giving. So So this is the absolute amount which you are going to have, and this is the rate which you are going to apply on that. So he says that this G, that is the growth rate, that is going to be constant. So he has assumed that. So this is a relationship between DP ratio, retention ratio, and the growth. That is the calculation of G. Now see the next one. This is very important. The cost of capital of the firm remains constant. This is one which we have already considered, that the cost of capital is going to remain same. But he says then it is the cost of capital of the firm remains constant and it is greater than the growth rate. If it is less than the growth rate, this formula is not going to work. If it is equal to the growth rate, this formula is not going to give you any substantial result. So this is the last assumption, last but one. This assumption is very important. Sometimes what happens, when we are asking that, okay, please calculate on the basis of this Gordon formula, what is the position of the firm under different conditions, the people they are going to calculate and K is more than, K is less than BR. So in that case, it will be coming negative. And then after they started to think that, okay, what has happened? Either my calculation is wrong or something has gone wrong in this case. So here, see here, this is very important for the purpose of your calculation and understanding. He has assumed that the cost of capital is going to be more than G or BR, then only this formula is going to work. If the cost of capital is less than your growth rate, it will not work. If it is less than, or even if it is equal, it is not going to give you any result which is going to help you in understanding whether the payment of dividend is going to affect the valuation of the share or not. So the corporate tax do not exist. This part has also been considered by him. So first, now I am going to recap your assumptions. The firm is an all-equity firm. No external financing is used. Retained earnings represent the only source of financing. So no debt, no equity, no additional rate of return, that is going to be constant. The retention ratio, and because the rate of return is so same, retention ratio we are considering that it is going to be constant. So the G, that will also be constant. The cost of capital, that is going to remain same. But you will have to take additional care that the cost of capital should be more than the BR or the growth rate. So corporate tax do not exist. This is the assumption which he has made. Now see here. This is a very simple formula which he has assumed and he has considered. P0 or P is your price of the share. E is your earning per share. 1 minus B. So this is the retention which we are considering. KEBR. So you can write it like this. So based on that, earning per share, retention ratio, K cost of. So 1 minus B is the retention ratio. So payout ratio you have to consider, cost of equity, capital, growth rate, the dividend per share, that is your D0, that means the dividend whatever you are paying, dividend which is the expected dividend at the end of the year. So this is the dividend which you are going to pay at the receive at the end of the year. So based on this, he has given this very simple formula which we are going to use here. The basic assumption of Gordon's valuation model that cost of capital remains constant for a firm is not true in practice. Thus Gordon revised the basic model to consider his risk and uncertainty. In the revised model, he suggested that even R is equal to K, dividend policy affect the value of the share on account of the uncertainty of future shareholders discount, future dividend at a higher rate than they discount near dividend. So the D1, D0 he has considered. Now see here, the assumptions and the figure, whatever we have considered in case of Walter, those figures, for example, earning per share, value is 10. Rate of return for the growth firm, 15%. This cost of capital, 10%, that is which we have assumed there. And based on that, using this particular formula for different type of ratios, he has proved the same thing whatever we are finding here. So in this case, by using this formula, you can use the basic details whatever are here, and you will find that the value of the share they will be changing. No doubt, the figures are not going to be same. Figures will be different because you have considered the growth rate. So due to that, the formula is also not same. But the value is going to be on the similar pattern. So we say, for example, rate of return is 10%, rate of return is 15%, cost of equity 10%, DP ratio 0, value is more. Similar result you will find when you are going to apply this formula, whatever is there, this Gordon formula, you will be finding it in the case of the growth form, normal form, and the declining form. So these are the calculations. We will be coming to the theory of